We have one of the most impressive panels that has ever gone down at the Non-Fungible Conference Summit. I am very, very honored to have these people here. They are representing a variety of companies, everything from Wrangler to 9DCC to Samsung to Mercedes-Benz and Diesel and many more. I'm excited for this one. These are not only very influential people who are moving this space forward, but these are also individuals that are here to build and they want to work with people just like you. So without further ado, allow me to introduce my favorite person at this whole entire conference, the one, the only Quinn Button.
Thank you. Thank you. Give it up for my husband, the better button for sure, NFT button. It is my absolute pleasure to be able to join this panel of very, very, very intelligent and hardworking individuals from across different industries, but we're going to be talking about fashion and communities and how that's all being built. So it's my pleasure to bring up Aventurine, Mr. Mo, Daryl, Can, and Gigi. Come on over. Oh, all right, so we only have 2 mics. All right, so we have 40 minutes, so we're not in any sort of rush here. Yeah, but I'm really excited for you guys to learn a lot about these individuals. Bringing all of you guys together, I'm so honored to be here with you, genuinely. So I want to start off by actually having you guys introduce yourselves, a little bit of your background in terms of communities in Web3 and what you have done in the fashion space to bring communities together.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aventurine. My real name's Alex. I'm not trying to be that anonymous, but it shows on here Aventurine Labs. I work with several companies, but the main company I work for, I'm the community lead of Admit1 and 90cc by G Money.
Oh. Yeah. GM. I'm Mohammed Salha, also known as Mr. Mo. I have an own agency and I work with brands like Diesel, Maison Margiela. Right now I'm working on Gel Sander. Yeah, that's everything about me so far.
Brilliant. Hi there. My name is Daryl Kelly. I go as Block Culture on Twitter. I'm the CEO of Limited Inc., which is a phygital studio. We've helped brands like Wrangler Jeans, Skoda Auto, Colton Rain, Chimodu, Jeremy Booth enter the space across fashion, collectibles, and art. And yep, we're here for it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gigi. I'm a creator, founder of Crypto Tech Women in Bing Bong, where we focus on really fun social events for women only, and then also for degens, creators, and builders, and a venture partner for a fund within Web3. I think like my side as a creator with Rug Radio, I do focus on showing like my fashion expressions, even while we're doing skits, and that's why I'm really excited about this talk.
Hey everyone, I'm John. I'm the founder of CA Agentur and also the director of partnerships of GridX, a new commercial center of the future based in Luxembourg. We are also going to have Europe's biggest immersive gallery. So as soon as we're open, you guys are all invited. This is planned to be in September 2025. We've been working together with brands like Mercedes, Samsung. We represent Samsung in Europe, Hugo Boss, etc., just to mention a few. And yeah, very excited to be here.
Thank you. All right. So you guys know their backgrounds, and we're going to dig in a little bit deeper, and we're going to get some case studies out of this, because I think, in my opinion, oftentimes we see a lot of things, be experimented with and then fail, and then it kind of just ends there. But I really want you guys to be able to take away some really good takeaways in terms of how fashion can actually be used to connect people IRL, because we are here IRL at the NFC Summit. So I'll start off with you, Aventurine. You have been a community manager with Admit1, which was kind of the original NFT project that then evolved into a fashion brand called 9DCC. So if you could kind of explain, and Gigi, I'd love your take too, because I know you've been an ambassador for 9DCC as well and very involved. How are you guys using fashion to really connect communities together with Web3?
Yeah, I started as a community lead of Admit1. It was G Money's networking group. It was something that was important for him to curate that community to go out and do things IRL. So in order to actually have been somebody that could enter into that community, you had to have met him in real life and collected at the time. He was passing out POAPs, which are right there, POAPs. And yeah, if you had collected one of the POAPs from him at any of the events that he was at, that got you onto the allow list to be a part of this like private networking community. But you know, G Money has always been about fashion. He helped onboard a lot of like really big Web2 fashion brands into the space, and he really wanted to kick something off that was his own. So 90cc is a crypto native luxury fashion brand. This is something that kicked off from the ground up. And really the main focus for 90cc and what we do is those IRL connections. So recently we released what are called nines, and it's a part of the collection. Each of the products are embedded with NFC technology. Besides having a really a certificate of authentication, in order to really connect with other people, we wanted to introduce something new. And what that is you're able to actually pass out these collectibles, and everybody could actually customize their own designs for these collectibles. And when you tap and meet other people, you can actually collect these items on chain. So, I mean, we've done everything from IRL treasure hunts at large, conventions and pop-ups recently in Paris and New York. And we love to have a lot of fun with those IRL connections.
I love it. Who here owns a 90cc anything? Does any? Oh, okay. Hey. Okay, that's amazing. And I see a lot of people that I've met thanks to 90cc. So that's a real, to me, one of the best case studies of real connecting with people, going out of your way to actually connect with them because there's something physical on your body that they identify with, right? And I think that we'll probably see a lot of other case studies play out too. I mean, Gigi, if you want to talk a little bit about 90cc, how did you kind of start getting involved and how'd you meet G Money?
Yeah, so I have a different type of background. So I've known G Money pre-Web3 since like 2017. I think, yeah, like very early on. So then when he came into Web3 and was curating at Mid1, like he said, like he was curating like a list of people that he was friends with that he wanted to have as part of the collection. And then he also curated like opportunities for people that were, he was like doing gamification right before it was like a real thing in the way that you collected POAPs. And then that would grant you allow list into getting this. And it was like such a cool experience. But I think 90cc, what's special is that it taps into that luxury feeling, integrated with not only like influencers and builders and creators, like anyone can be part of it, and you can tap into this network and actually like be integrated with people that you may have never met, but you have that one thing in common. And like you said, you get to collect each other's like hats, and that's that proof that one day you met Aventurine. And I don't know, it's like it's building like provenance around friendships and connections IRL, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. And we'll get back to what you're building with crypto and women and all of that stuff too with communities. But I think I actually met Mr. Mo last year at this event at the fashion stage because he was wearing a 90cc shirt, and I asked him if I could scan his shirt. And we've become really good friends ever since then. So Mo, I would love to know your background. Well, look, you have a fantastic background. You have your own agency, and you've worked specifically with a brand that we all probably know, Diesel. So I'd love to kind of get your take on like what exactly you've done with Diesel and how that all kind of played out with fashion and communities.
I was lucky enough that one of my first clients was OTB. They are the owner of Diesel, Maison Margiela, Jill Sander, and so on. So I help those brands kind of navigate in Web3. And I think it all comes back to exclusivity. It comes back to in real life events. I remember before I jumped on board, they launched a collection. And if you were a holder of this kind of NFT, you were invited to a fashion show to Milan. I mean, something that you usually cannot get with money. And I think it's about those kind of experiences that you get something very exclusive, that you, like she said, you can connect with people. Sometimes you're a little bit shy, and then you see someone, okay, is on the same event or wears something from 90cc. So you have like this kind of gateway to connect with someone. And I think especially after COVID, we really feel that those in real life events are so important to really connect with people, not just behind our screens. So and basically it's just amazing to see, because sometimes we're talking about what is success. So sometimes you say, okay, some brands come and they were not successful, but I think the ROIs can be different. It doesn't have to be the floor price. It doesn't have to be the volume. Yeah, it's like you are still in our crypto Twitter bubble. It's much more. It's like the early adoption of the technology. It's like, you know, just to show the stakeholders that the brand is already looking into the future and building something up front.
Well said. I think what's really interesting is like I was asked a question yesterday that would love to get your take on eventually, like maybe towards the end, is why blockchain, right? Why blockchain with fashion and reverse engineering back and really trying to figure out what those solutions are and why we have to use blockchain. And I think we'll get to that in just a little bit. But Daryl, I really want to ask you, you have actually done a couple of things. So quite a few things. I don't know if you guys, has anyone done any of the crypto bag scavenger hunt? Anyone here? I know a few of you have. All right. He is the guy who is behind it all. And he's also done some really interesting things with Wrangler. So I'd love first, before we get to crypto bags with the NFC chip, which NFC chip is going to be an ongoing theme on this panel for sure. But would love to get the understanding of the case study of Wrangler and what exactly you did to bring them into Web3.
Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, bit of background of how I got into the space. I got interested in Bitcoin in 2016 and started investing heavily. When I understood the concept of digital scarcity, my life literally took a turn, and I decided I have to focus on the blockchain. So kind of like maybe I'll answer that question you just raised a minute ago. So the blockchain provides that authenticity layer. And in 2020, we were one of the first brands in the world to put a streetwear collection on the blockchain. And that was with a UK rapper called Zuby. Went really well. It was a proof of concept. And from there, we raised $500,000 and we launched Limited Inc. in 2022. And we took 18 months to build the whole tech. And Wrangler was luckily our first client. So we had this amazing project with Wrangler, jeans, and Leon Bridges. And it was all crafted around a denim jacket and jeans that were specifically made for him. So we turned the whole thing into a one-of-one NFT basically, and we took a vintage suitcase off the shelf and we refurbished it with custom Wrangler comic book lining, and we put NFC chips in them essentially. Fast forward, that was a success. We then launched a collaboration with Wrangler jeans and Deadfellas. So this was like a really hyper community-focused project where we launched 20 pairs of Wrangler denim jeans for their vintage department essentially, and we put NFC chips in each, and we launched a digital campaign across both communities, and it was kind of like a Boulder Dash game. So the idea was that we create a story that was focused around the kind of combination of the two brands. So you've got this Western theme from Wrangler and this kind of dead, vampire zombie theme going on with Deadfellas. And we launched the first artwork, which was a panel, and then we asked the communities, both of them, to decide on the direction of the character and what they chose. The artist then did another panel, and the story continued, and it turned into a comic book. And essentially, at the end, we then minted that as a digital twin, which was attached to the 20 pair of jeans. And and then we gave away those jeans, actually. It was like a complete community-driven project, and they loved it. And it was Wrangler's most successful digital campaign they'd ever done. Something like 1,000% increase in their likes and retweets. And yeah, huge success. We loved it. And we've done multiple projects now with Wrangler and Jeremy Booth and some other artists that are a bit more capsule collection types. And then we've gone on to do Skoda Auto, F. the artist, Chimodu, and some pretty big brands and artists. But we're not necessarily at the scale of like 9DCC. We're a bit smaller. We tend to go a bit more capsule collection and a bit more niche and cross between the fashion and art and collectible spaces. So yeah.
That's really, I mean, the fact that that was their most successful digital campaign, I think you really tapped into something, right? Like you really tapped into allowing people to come together to feel like they're part of like almost like a co-creation of the community, right?
That's what drove it. The success was the community being able to really have a say in the story, and the story was told by them. They chose it, and then they got the NFT in the end as per their kind of choices. So it's really cool.
That's so cool. We'll go back to crypto bags because I definitely want you to show people what it looks like and to describe it a little bit more, because I think that there's a scavenger hunt that's still happening.
Correct. Yes.
That you guys can participate in if you're not already doing so. But I'm going to go over to Gigi. Gigi is one of the hardest working women I've ever met. Genuinely, she's she's a creator at Rogue Radio. She's her own personal brand. She's always constantly throwing the most epic events with Bing Bong. And she's also bringing together women in crypto and tech. And to me, that's something that is very close to my heart. And I know in New York, how many people did you bring together? How many women did you bring together at your event?
So for New York, we had over 400 RSVPs, and then we had over 300 show up. On the worst day, it was like raining. It's like the worst day of NFT NYC, and we had so many women from top figures in the space to just people trying to learn. And it was just really special seeing women get the opportunity to connect with each other, where obviously there's so many events, and I'm like, there's no reason to be exclusive, but I think there's a lot of special networks that can happen within those type of events that are curated for only women, where, to be honest, there's a lot of the women that goes to this event that don't have an invite to the other events, right? So it's in a way, people are like, you're being exclusive, but in reality, were they even included in the first place, right? So it's been a really fun thing to do.
It's so cool. I mean, how many people knew there was 700 women in this space? I love hearing that. But I think, we're here to talk about how Web3 fashion kind of brings people together. How would you say, I mean, you have an amazing demographic of women who obviously just research shows are the main people who purchase things in a household. How do you think Web3 and fashion is going to help bring together even more women or a community together that you're trying to build?
I think it's been really interesting because when I joined initially Web3 in 21, I feel like there were a few women that were very expressive with how they would dress. But personally, I never felt like that could have been me, because I'm creating my brand. I'm trying to be serious. I want people to take me seriously. And then what happened was last year at some point, I was like, you know what, I'm tired of putting a fake persona on, and I'm just gonna become more expressive with how I dress and really show my personality that I have already outside of Web3. And what that turned into is that I've seen so many other women kind of feel more included, and they come up to me, they're like, hey, I saw you're doing this, and now I feel like I don't have to wear sweats and a hoodie to fit in. And I think in a way, by having more people be able to express themselves through their clothing, they are inviting others to do the same. And I've seen that happen, a network effect with women in my network that now are like, oh, Gigi, I always see you wearing this crazy thing. I wore this today. Are you proud of me? And I'm like, yeah. So I think that's something about fashion that people don't really see. And it's the impact that you can make through expressing yourself and making others feel like they are also allowed to be expressed. And I think when you tap into communities, most communities have a very niche, merch clothing, right? It's a lot of and I love hoodies and sweats. You go to my closet, I have so many of those. But I think what's special about 90cc Wrangler is creating something that is different and that people can wear, feel identified, and it sparks conversations. Like you said, you saw him had a 90cc NFC chip. You're like, let me tag you, and then from that, look at you now here. So I think for brands that tap into fashion and even communities and go outside of the box of just using sweats and hoodies, you can actually create deeper relationships within your members that align with that style. And we see that also with OD Labs. They make some really dope clothing. I'm wearing that. I have people come up, oh, is that OD? Oh, can I take a photo with it? So I think within the fashion and the NFC chip style of strategy, you can actually build deeper relationships within your members and within the people around you, which is really interesting.
I love that. And I love that you brought up that it could be a way to self-express and connect with others, even without an NFC chip, right? And I think that's really the power of what you're doing in bringing these women together and making them feel like there's a fun group of people for them to come to and to be supported by. All right, Can, my man. Okay, I have to say, I think we met originally in London. NFT London in 2022. And man, this guy is an absolute legend. He's worked with Samsung, he's worked with Mercedes-Benz, and you are now creating this amazing cultural center in Luxembourg, right? So we're gonna have to get to all of that. But does anyone else own one of the Anthony Tedesco Mercedes-Benz NFT pieces. That was like one of the very first ones, and you were behind that. So would love for you to kind of share with the audience a little bit about how that kind of came together, what the outcome was, because I think someone won something very big eventually, and then would love to hear a little bit about Samsung as well and what you're doing what you're doing with them.
Sure. Well, that project with Mercedes was about bringing diverse artists with different backgrounds together and use the G-Class, the G-Wagon, as the iconic car out of the automotive industry as a canvas. And at that time, it was more like the situation, you had that 3D animations in art, and you had like some photographers started, and the other artists said, hey, photography doesn't have, like, this is no kind of thing in NFTs and stuff. And I said, let's go, this will also have a future, and this has its relevance. And also from interior design and real estate, I would probably say we're one of the first that included artists from that space to have a great mixture. Like, I really tried to get different styles, different techniques, and really to have that multifaceted art piece connected to that iconic car, G-Wagon. And as we used that, it turned out that this was also a great marketing stunt for Mercedes in terms of they just launched their G-Class club, membership club, and a lot of people were interested in art. So we had a lot of overlays and a lot of connections, a lot of dots that we connected. And at that time, it was pretty, let's say, intense to convince the different departments of the brand like to go in that space, because it was also a pretty early. And I think just to mention it also in that panel, we're still early, yes, for sure. But at that time,
Yes,
it took, like, also from an agency perspective, 1.5 years, like, to convince the responsibles to really dive into that space. And what we did was we had that art pieces, we sold them in editions, and we said, once we're going to pull over 1 million revenues, we're going to raffle a real G-Wagon. And this is what we did. We had several exhibitions and also possibilities to connect communities. And yeah, the winner is very happy. And I think also this was a great example and the blueprint for Mercedes to do their next steps, what they're doing now with Mercedes Next. And yeah, so far for the Mercedes case. And also the magazines behind that wrote about this new topic was very interesting. Vogue, GQ, and also from real estate design, Design Boom, Deezen, Wallpaper Magazine, like getting things connected in that kind of way, and it turned out better than I thought was really good to see. So yeah, this for the Mercedes project.
That's great. Well, and I do want to give some time to the Samsung project as well that you're working on. Would love to hear a little bit more about how that has come together and what exactly they're doing that's a little bit different than anything else that we've seen, specifically with generative art.
Well, I think the key takeaway of this recent project is that we convinced Samsung to go on the journey, not to build their own metaverse, not to build their own Discord, not to go too deep in a topic for which there's no structure and capacity for, because corporates, they are not working in a decentralized way. They have different structures. Every country is another entity. And that also, if we're talking about interoperability and interconnected communities, that brings the first barrier, beside convincing legal, beside writing terms and conditions and arguing and stuff. And that strong move is also connected, or was like creating that partnership with Ledger in the first place, because we said, what is the responsibility of a brand if you do that first step? What do they have to deliver for their audiences, for their clients? And this is like easy access, interoperability, of course, then later on, security, and I think Ledger is here the perfect partner, and education, maybe in a gamified way. And with the Ledger Quest, I think it was a no-brainer for that. And the second step, this is the reason and the still ongoing campaign, is to bring experiences, digital experiences, but also gameplay onto the Samsung big screens. We recently released an app which makes it possible for every user to connect the wallet, browse through different partner collections, but also display your own connection and your own collections. I mean, this is not rocket science, but it's the first step of a major brand like Samsung, and it's the one of the most valuable brands in the world, especially in consumer electronics, which does that first step. And like we connected now, or we created a partnership network, which is called the Gen 3 Gate. And there's involved also some AAA games like Wild the World. They are building Miami, so like the digital twin of Miami with the Zaha design studio. We have Illuvium, which is also a AAA game, blockchain game. And they recently launched also their first experiences with a fighting area, etc. And then, of course, we have also a traditional partner, which is the Belvedere Museum in Vienna. They also did their first step into the space with the Gustav Klimt, the KISS NFT. They fractionized an NFT, which was quite successful as well. I think they put 3 million something and still selling out. And yeah, and also, did I forget someone? Ledger. Well, of course, World of Women, the most important one. Women tech has always been an important topic for Samsung, and this is also why we included a PFP project, which is still, I think, a blue chip project in the space. They've been doing such a great work. We have a great connection, and I think it's very important to have them on board. And I think you can check the website. As I said, the project is still going on. We have some of our NFTs. With those NFTs, you can unlock different partner NFTs. We have them in their crypto bags, and there are still, how many are there? Like 6 still? Okay, so you hide it somewhere and people can find it. Yeah, so good luck on that. I will search too.
That's actually a perfect transition to crypto bags. And then I am going to ask everyone the question of like, why blockchain? Why blockchain is the technology to really help bring communities together via fashion. So Daryl, why don't you describe a little bit of crypto bags, how it came to be, what you're using, what technology you're using, which I think we all could probably guess what it is.
Can I grab one quickly?
Yeah, grab one.
All right. Sorry.
Absolutely. So if you guys don't know crypto bags, so I first learned about crypto bags in New York at NFT NYC. We had OSF. Do you guys know OSF, the artist? We love OSF. We love direct drinks. Get your direct drinks at the bar. But he actually put them all around in New York, and now he has these all around in Lisbon. I'll let you go ahead and explain.
Yeah, so quickly, just this comes from why blockchain quickly? I believe strongly in using the blockchain for supply chain traceability and for the authenticity layer. That's what Limited Ink specializes in. Crypto bags was a fun way to use the same technology to gamify the onboarding experience into the crypto world. So essentially, we created these pixelated crypto bags, very meme-like of the internet art. We embed our chips into them. So in the back, each one has an edition number, so it's a phygital, it's a collectible, and it comes with a digital twin attached to it. And when you tap your phone on it, you're asked for a password, which is written on the back here under the sticker. And you enter that, and then you basically get told what crypto NFTs art is embedded within. So it's basically like literally crypto wallets embedded into these pretty cool looking bags that we then hide around events and the streets, basically. And we started in Paris, we've done London. We did a custom campaign with OSF in New York, and yeah, we're here doing it in Lisbon. We've got Samsung as a partner with those generators in there, so they could be quite valuable. OSF's piece was $70,000 in one of our bags. Okay, he's got that one. And yeah, so there's like 5 left. There's 2 more today. That's just really sort of the shill.
That's the shill. It's a great shill though, man, because what you're doing is you're being so inclusive with other brands and communities, right? You've got Samsung in there. You've got Chimpers in there.
Chimpers. We've got meme coins. We've got Ethereum. I funded the whole thing as a self, bootstrapped it. So I started putting my own Bitcoin in the bags and putting them in Paris and London. The idea really was to gamify the self-sovereignty experience, because I'm a big Bitcoin maxi. I believe in self-sovereignty as the underpin of this industry. And I do believe the messaging of self-sovereignty is getting buried under convenience. It's good to get people on board into the system by a Google click and a wallet created, but if they don't understand all of the background of it, then it's kind of, not what's the point, because there is obviously a point, but I do believe self-sovereignty is key to this entire space. So I'm trying to make it, you have to have a wallet to get the loot out of these things, and that's part of the message as well.
I love that. Onboarding people with the physical too is a really, really powerful thing. I agree. I'm with you with self-sovereignty. It's about not your keys, not your coin, right? So you need to have your own wallet.
And we work with artists. We're going to brand these so there'll be limited edition runs. We give them away. We're not selling them. Literally, it's all collabs. There'll be custom designs, and yeah, keep an eye out for them. There's 2 more today.
I love it. And Mr. Mo, yeah, you can pass it to Mr. Mo because he's the next one up. Working with OTB and all these different brands, you know, what are the conversations like? The question I want to ask is why blockchain? Like, how do you explain to these bigger brands who have been around for a while, who have experimented maybe with some tech? How do you explain to them why blockchain? What's the benefit to them actually going into this space with the technology?
I mean, he already talked about a lot of important points why blockchain. It's mostly verification. I don't know if you guys heard about our blockchain consortium.
Yep.
It's like LVMH, it's Mercedes, it's OTB, Richmond. So they all came together to verify their products. I mean, we know it already from different kind of stuff, but it's mostly logistically it's the verification. I mean, I don't know how many money brands are losing because of counterfeit. Yeah. I mean, on the other way, you can, as a brand, suddenly you could open up a marketplace where people could verify their second-hand garment and also tap into a revenue stream what you never had before. Besides revenue, you also are able to collect data. This is also something what 9DCC is doing very clever, is suddenly I know who's in G-Money's network. Yeah, so I can target those kind of people. It's also one of the reasons why I became angel investor in 9DCC, because I just believe that it's like they're like very far, you know. So and I just wanted to tap into the community and Web3 very quick. Besides OTB, I'm building the Only Ever Club. It's onlyever.club. What we did there, I don't know if you know the brand Avu. It's by Arte Carlson. They were the ones on a runway that always fell down. It was very viral. Yeah. So what we did with them is, for example, also we created a shoe with the community together. So basically, it's backed by a design house since 25 years. They work with Versace. Kanye was there. I'm not allowed to talk about it as well. So they created in 5 steps a shoe that the community also want. So your retention rate is much more higher because you have this kind of belonging. Like, I choose the sole, I choose the upper, I choose I mean, they open up a design process. What usually in fashion you don't see that. They make a product, they put it on the market, and then you hope you sell it. So, and I think blockchain with the whole verification, with the whole ownership suddenly, it's for me the main reason. I think that in the future, any physical item will have a digital twin that people can flex in different kind of metaverses. And it's an extension of a marketing. It's free marketing, basically. So this is why I believe blockchain is here to stay. And we don't need to ask about, does fashion have a place in blockchain or in Web3? It's something that will be integrated for sure. There's no question to ask in my opinion. So I know people, we have this cliche, we are still early, but we are really still early.
We really are still early. And I know that there have been a couple of people who have talked on this stage specifically about the EU regulations that just recently passed, where DPP, every physical product in fashion is actually going to have like a digital passport to verify all the different pieces where the garment actually came from. And that's by 2027.
Yeah.
Like, that's really soon. Like, so yeah, we're early,
Yeah.
but like the regulations, and I know it's a little unclear right now, but as it progresses, there's only one technology that can really do that.
Thank you so much, because I'm always a little bit nervous and forget what I wanted to say. So for anyone who doesn't know, the DPP is like the digital product passport, what will be mandatory in Europe by maximum 2030. So I think those brands will go beyond the regulation that they have to do it, and it just makes sense to use blockchain. And then probably you have like huge kind of possibilities to do interoperability. So if I know now 9DCC is on a blockchain, and I know as Gucci that 9DCC fits exactly in the demographics, I could just take the token ID and say, by the way, make a post. Everyone who holds this kind of shirt will get now 20% on the specific day. So I think that the DPP will be embraced much more than just about the regulation. So like I said, blockchain is here to stay, right?
I couldn't agree more. And especially with the advent of AI, even though AI has been around for a while, but AI is going to need some sort of verification tool too. That's not the topic of this discussion, but is certainly another reason we need some sort of a verification system for the things that get created in the future. I kind of feel like 90cc is like what I always think of when I'm like, brands will eventually get there. You guys are so far thinking. You guys have been doing this for how long?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So 2 years has been around.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. 2 years is like forever in crypto. But I think in terms of, you guys have brought people together in Miami, in Paris, in all over the world, genuinely. And you guys open up this like world connect, to this ability to like, hey, play, right? So we haven't really talked a lot about like the gamification and how that, like the gamification of Web3 and how that actually plays a role in bringing community together, because there's that competitive edge. So how do you think that's kind of helped formulate the community within 90cc, from New York to Miami to Paris and all over?
Yeah, I think that's where that extra layer comes in. I mean, we talked about like why NFC, why blockchain. I mean, the authentication part of it is one thing. Really, like the scarcity aspect of it. I always kind of bring up an example of like a Birkin bag, for example. You never really know how many of these bags are manufactured. Why do they cost this much money? On having something on chain, you're able to actually see, okay, this specific shirt has been made this many times. And there's also like a provenance aspect to that too, where if I were to sell a product to somebody else and they claim that product, you're able to actually see on chain who's actually owned that product. But then on top of that, with 90cc, what we do is add that social layer to it. So we've integrated what we call the network points system, and it's essentially our loyalty program. And with our products being able to be on chain, we're able to reward people for doing specific actions that you couldn't do in a Web 2 world. One example of that, I think most of us have probably been to a token proof event in Web 3 at some point. And if you were to wear any Web 2 luxury brand to an event, an exclusive event like that, the company would never know that you did that. But with our products, you're able to actually check in your products that you took these things into these events. And we're actually able to, as a company, reward the members for bringing their products to events. And I mean, like you said, we've done things like World Connect events, treasure hunts, and really just adding that social layer on top of the blockchain is very important for us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's a good transition over back to Gigi. And then Ken, I really want to learn more about your cultural center, because I think a physical space where people can come together and really learn is probably a great place to kind of end and wrap it up. But Gigi, creators are such a huge component and a huge part of marketing with brands, with these different, fashion labels. And we're talking a lot about like real world assets, not just fashion, but how communities come together. As a creator, how do you feel like, the creator economy plays a role with bringing communities together, and how does fashion play a part in that to you, maybe IRL, but also online?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said it yourself, I think for a lot of brands, like they see the value of creators. For others, they're just tapping into it. But in reality, like within the Web3 niche that we have in Web 2, it's like you build a product first, marketing, community, everything comes later. And in Web3, it's really marketing community is the first step of it. It doesn't matter how good your product is. If no one is talking about it, no one really cares, right? And that's where creators tap into products. And I think like when you add a brand, in this case, fashion, and you find creators that actually align with it, right? Because you could just give a Wrangler jacket to anyone and be like, yo, this person has the most followers. Let me give this to them. But if your brand doesn't really align with how this creator really expresses themselves, it's not genuine, it's fake, and people can pick up on that. Versus when a brand really partners with creators that actually align with the brand values, they like the style, they express it, it shows. And that's where I think like more brands need to tap with creators. Obviously, I know like for 90cc, there's like a lot of things happening in terms of like how we get to like display the new things coming out and seeing, it's like Bradley Cooper was wearing a 90cc hat, like on out and about, like what the hell, right? And I think like that's where you know, you can really partner with personalities. Doesn't even have to be a creator, it could be builders that align with your brand. And that taps into the community aspect of things, right? Integrating people that may not normally be part of many communities. Because for myself, like I have my community and I own assets from communities, but I don't actively participate in communities because I'm busy. But one way that I participate in communities is by wearing the clothing. Like in NYC, I had like a bunch of 90cc on me. For here, I brought like some OD Lab stuff, and then putting that into my content is a way that I integrate the communities that I partner with without having to be just like tagging and all of this. It's just like I'm wearing normal clothes that I like. It just happens to be communities that I'm also a part of that I really enjoy being part of. So I think like it all comes with the brand alignment. And why blockchain, I totally agree. It's like all about the authenticity and the traceability of the assets. And I think like when you're able to mix creators and just like authenticity with it and traceability in terms of like, I want to see like how other brands do it, but like the 90cc network is really cool because like right now you're wearing Gucci and you don't know who else here is wearing Gucci, right? And like with 90cc, it's like, oh, you can tap into this girl. Now you know everyone who wears 90cc and maybe you're all going to the same event and you get to meet each other. So it's a really cool way of like finding your tribe.
Oh, I love that. That's exactly right, Gigi. It's finding your tribe. And I love that authenticity is the word too, right? It's like bringing authentic communities together. Because I could genuinely say like the communities, especially like 90cc and OD Labs is a really fantastic one where people authentically love the brand and they love the people in that community. And I think that really extends the brand in a really meaningful way that allows for people to really, I mean, it increases their brand loyalty significantly, right? So Can, I want to end with you, my friend. We've got about 5 minutes. Tell us a little bit about the cultural center that you're working on and how like IRL experiences that Mo kind of referred to earlier, like you're creating an experience for people to come gather. And what are your plans and what was the thought process behind that?
So to give a little bit context, we're building a 220,000 square meters commercial center or cultural center in Luxembourg. We see it as the center of Europe. And it's definitely supposed to be a playground for all creatives, for all communities. So we will have different segments. We will have a retail section. We'll have a skate hall. We will have a mobility center, which consists out of a car museum. We will have Europe's biggest immersive gallery. We'll have a concept store, and I recently was talking in Paris to G-Money as well. Of course, we would love to involve you as a brand, sell 90cc there, connect the communities, host events, host festivals. We are in talks with different well-known festivals there, and like bring cultures together. I think we have so many cultures to celebrate, and at least to have an IRL spot or IRL space where you can host those kind of events is like something that's probably missing somehow to connect the different cultural layers, and this is what we're up to. So yeah, we are planning to open in September 2025, and we would definitely like get connected with all of you guys. I think we have some discussions that we are going to dig into in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm very happy to present more on this topic and to connect. Yeah,
Amazing. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here, genuinely. I would say like we actually have like 3 minutes, maybe one final thought in terms of what you think the future of Web3 fashion and community building is. If we are so early, what do you guys think it looks like in like 10 years from now?
I guess for me, I think the first thing that comes to mind is just the easeability of onboarding. I think Web3 could be a very technical place for a lot of people, and that's really a big turnoff for people in Web2, for people that don't know what Web3 is all about. So I think it's really important for like what we're doing, being able to have somebody literally walk off the street into a shop, being able to buy a product and be able to be integrated in Web3 without even knowing that they're doing that. And that's something that's really important for 90cc and something that we've done recently to really enable somebody without even a Web3 wallet to come in with just their email, claim a product and be involved in Web3 and blockchain without really knowing that they're involved in it. So I think that's always really important.
Yeah, I think we're going to have the same phenomenon like with Web 2. So in 5 years, everybody's going to use Web 3 without really knowing it. Yeah. It's the same like with gamification. Everything is gamified, the Uber app, your banking app. So I think also in general, what will help is stop using all of those buzzwords and just implement the technology and solve a problem that people want to use. So there's a lot of friction still, but I think in 5 years, it's just going to be a great adoption of the technology, and it's going to solve a lot of issues and problems.
I'll keep it super quick. I think in 5 years, 10 years, maybe max, kids won't be buying anything of value, shoes, trainers, whatever, unless they can tap it and interact with it. Like that is the future we're looking at, and it's really soon.
I think what I hope to see in the next few years is honestly like more brands being able to create like cool stuff people want to wear. Now we're gonna have better dressed DJs. They're gonna have more fashion out there. Now, and we're gonna have more people just tap into Web3 without having to know that they're tapping into Web3, right? I think like the goal of like quote unquote mass adoption is different for different people. I think for me, it's like having more people interact with the tech, get the value from the tech without having to know the tech, right? Like the goal is like to not have Web3 fashion, but to have dope fashion brands that are using crypto, and on reverse, having people that are just wearing like really cool stuff that taps into crypto and like creates like a whole circle around it.
We were yesterday talking about this specific topic, and I totally agree what you said, is that there will be no industry in the future in the next couple of 5 to 10 years that will not be influenced by this technology, and this technology will bring a heavily impact on this. And I think it's just a question of time to see different use cases getting established, brands getting involved, communities are going to be built. And like, it's a question of time. We are still early, like I said, and we just have to do a little bit of education, get more blueprints out there, get some KPIs, also Web2 KPIs still, to convince the management and the decision makers out there, and like to get them on board, to make them brave enough to join. And I think, like I said, just a question of time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, you guys, thank you so much for taking your time and being here. If you guys haven't met them, please come up and meet them. You guys absolutely need to. They are trailblazers in each one of their industries. Thank you guys. It's absolutely been an honor. Give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.